kind of turning into a classic right now. I did tell you that we would learn how to de-stress, and even though I'm kind of being a bit funny about it and treating it like a bit of a joke, I meant what I said at the beginning of the show in terms of how stress really is a silent killer and really, really can affect us. And I know most of you are going to be like me, which is the stress just happens and you just swallow it because you kind of look in the mirror and go, this is what life's all about. But it isn't all about that. So let's just get some of the facts out there, okay? So it's Stress Awareness Day this Wednesday. So that's day after tomorrow, Wednesday the 5th of November. And it's also Movember this month, which most of you know about. You know the ridiculous moustaches that we see, especially on our dads and uncles' faces. I often find that it's mostly men of a certain age who do Movember, but it's definitely a time to focus not just on stress but also men's mental health, because I think a lot of the time the two are inextricably intertwined. So my guest Sukh Padda is a holistic healer and he can provide insights on stress and men's mental health. He's sitting with me right now. He can talk to us about the link between physical pain and emotional well-being, particularly within the South Asian community. And this all started for Sukh after he left the corporate banking industry after dealing with severe stress. Oh my gosh, Sukh, and physical back pain. So he's now helping others. So before we do anything else, Sukh, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bobby. Great to be here.
Secondly, just, you know, I know you're here to help, but just tell me about the corporate world and your stress, because I've got a couple of friends who work in the city, in quotation marks, Canary Wharf, places like that, and when they say they're stressed, I can literally see it drip off their faces.
Yeah, and I was like that for many years, working in the banking environment within Canary Wharf. So lots of stress, very high pressured environment. You know, even at night, not being able to switch off, you know, thinking I've got to do this the next day. So you're never completely switched off. Weekends, even when you're going out with friends, it's still in the back of the mind, I've got 101 things to do. And so that was, without realising, slowly creeping in and, you know, taking a toll on my physical health. But you don't deal with it then, you know. You got a bit of pain, take a painkiller. You got to crack on with it because you know, you have to work, and that's the environment it is. It's a cutthroat environment, and to cut your teeth on it, these are the hours and everything you have to put in. So it becomes almost like the norm.
Also, I think, you know, if you're South Asian, especially, I think this is an age thing. You know, I don't know how old your parents are, or if they're still around. Yeah. My parents in their 80s, so they're basically the first generation, the guys who came over here. Yeah. And that entire generation will laugh at you if you've got a cold and say, I want to stay in bed today. They're literally going to go, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. So I do feel that our generation have now that we're parents or our kids have grown up, we've picked up on that, and we attack the world with the same kind of, oh well, I'll just shake it off. I'll take a painkiller and I'll go into work. So with that in mind, and it's not just about us as a generation, because we're going to teach the generations below us. Yeah. Talk to me about stress, because it is Stress Awareness Day on Wednesday, and how that impacts mental health, and also you talk to us about physical pain as well.
Yeah. So look, we go through lots of different periods of stress on a daily basis, hourly basis, and the body can cope with that. The problem is when that stress is continuous and it becomes chronic stress. And there are some telltale signs, and, you know, a lot of people ignore them, you know, just carry on with life. But from a physical perspective, you know, you're going to get your joint pain, your neck pain, your headaches, sleepless nights. In my case, it was back pain. So you're ignoring all of those. High blood pressure, you know.
Can I just stop you there? So what you're specifically saying isn't if you've got an injury, you're going to get stressed. You're talking about the stress coming in first,
yes,
and then manifesting.
Yes, manifesting itself.
Carry on.
Because in Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine, each organ is linked to an emotion, is linked to a physical part of the body. For example, the liver, stress, anger, frustration, the muscles in between our shoulder blades, eyes. So, you know, a lot of people with red blood eyes, that's liver. You know, in the middle of the afternoon when you put your hands behind your head and you go, that's liver congestion, we say in Eastern medicine. So that's one example. And then liver is also high levels of cortisol, so inflammation in the body. So a lot of joint issues and things, and we've seen a lot of digestive issues now with people coming in as well. So this is how the emotions affect the physical, which affect the internal, and everything in the body is linked. One system does not get injured on its own and it doesn't heal on its own. So you have to look at it holistically when you're treating it. But the biggest thing is to be able to identify when you're
so with
stressed.
that in mind, because that's probably, some people just know their bodies better.
Yeah.
I'm very bad. I'm just giving myself as an example. I know I'm very bad because every time I've been diagnosed with something, it's always happened after I've gone, well, it's that. And it's always the doctor who turns around and goes, no, it wasn't that. It was this. Secondly, going back to that point about our parents saying, don't worry, just work through your illness. I think that probably engenders you bit by bit, year by year, losing spiritual touch with your body.
Yeah.
So how can we become stress aware? What do we need to do?
Okay, first of all, you're absolutely right there, boy, when you said we need to become more aware of our body. We need to understand the signs. And it can start with physical pain. It can start with, okay, you're becoming more irritable. You're snapping at things that wouldn't really impact you before. You're not sleeping well. Your appetite's suppressed, or you're eating the wrong type of foods. You become socially inclusive. You don't want to go out. You don't want to go with
exclusive. You mean? Yeah.
You don't want to go out. You're almost becoming withdrawn. And you're constantly thinking about work or whatever it is. Your brain's consistently switched on thinking about that. Those are the real telltale signs. And your breathing will change. You'll become more shallow breathing as well. And your fatigue levels are increasing. You don't know why. Wait a minute, I'm getting up. I think I'm having good sleep, but I still feel really tired. I feel really drained. So all of those, it's not. I'm not saying all of that is linked to stress, but those are really good sort of telltale signs, especially if you're not that type of person anyway. And suddenly now there's a change, and other people are noticing this change in you as well. Wait a minute, there's something about, you didn't used to snap like that.
Yes.
Why don't we talk about it? Or
can I just quickly pick up on that? Because I don't know how true this is of everybody else. And yes, you're totally right. The physical manifestations, me as a person, the first thing I do is go, this is hurting. How have I injured it? Not am I stressed? But I do know in the highest stressful points of my life, my personality changes, and Mr. Snappy does come out. Mr. Shouty. Mr. then feels guilty for half an hour, then has to go and apologise. Then it happens again the next day. So that's probably quite a good barometer, right? Yeah,
definitely. And I can relate to myself because I'm a very sort of laid back, chilled out guy, and it takes a lot. But I know, even look, I'm a healer, I do all of this, but we all have our downtime, right? And I know for a fact that when I become like that, I become snappy, I become, I don't have that patience anymore. Hey, wait a minute, I just need to take a step back here. Okay, something's not working here. I just need to focus. And the point you made earlier, Bobby, look, our parents are from that first generation. And then they worked very hard. I mean, my dad was working in shifts and everything. He put me through private school everywhere to get me that education. So there's that sort of expectation. Oh my God, I can't let him down. I've got to soldier through it. My dad soldiered through it. Why can't I? I have to go through this.
Also, well, if they're not around anymore, you hear their voice literally going, "What are you doing? Come on, get on with it.
Get on with it." And that is the other mentality as well, because especially with South Asian, there's an expectation, to succeed financially, academically, socially. There's a certain criteria. It's almost like a timeline. Right, okay, you've done university degree. Okay, now you've got to get married. You've got to get a good job and all of this.
You're not a full person until you hit all these little
and if
markers.
You don't, then there's that social impact on you, especially now. I see a lot of people, who could be in their mid-30s, they're not married. So that's an extra pressure on there as well. Social media and everything, I was talking with some friends when I was growing up back in the 70s, life seemed easier, a little bit simpler.
Yeah.
And that is so much going on digitally that you can never get away from anything. So there's additional factors in now which increase stress levels as well. And I'm seeing it in younger people now as well.
Okay, so that's the stress side of things. And we'll come back to, if we get enough time, how stress can be a killer, all right, and how it affects your health. But that's National Stress Awareness Day. I now want to link National Stress Awareness Day and everything you just talked about with Movember and men's mental health. Now, we've done mental health many times on this show. Same things always come up, which is even 2 or 3 generations in, the men, it's not even they're full of testosterone and won't tell anyone. They have actually got to a point where they don't want to tell anyone because they don't want to let their parents down. So let's now link that stress to men's mental health. What are you seeing in the interplay between stress and men's mental health, and how can stress affect mental health?
Okay, so the interplay really is, okay, you're stressed about something. It could be work, family, whatever. A lot of guys, they bottle it up. They don't let it out. And it could be, I'll give my example as well. If I was to say with my friends, you know what, I really want to talk about my mental health, I'm not really in a good place, they would say, what are you going on about? Have a drink. Come on, we don't talk about sort of stuff. Come and get on with it.
Well, I find, sorry to interrupt, but even the younger generation, the guys who have now been brought up to not do that, they do it a different way. They don't go, what are you talking about? You're being soft. They go, yeah, mate, come on, let's go and have a chat, let's have a drink. But then when you explain, they'll go, take. What you need to do is do this.
Yeah.
What you need to do is do that. Like, I'll give you a one-word answer and everything will be fine. But it's not that either.
But it's not that, because stress, mental health is much more complex than that as well. And it's not like Western-based medicine that we're treating symptomology. There's a root cause to it. And when we do treatments, that's what we really sort of look for. What is that root cause? And in the extreme, it's I've had people where they say, Sukh, it started off as stress. It's got to the point where it's affecting me so mentally, I can't function anymore. I'll either turn to a stimulant such as alcohol, which alcohol is a depressive vicious circle, even to the point where then it becomes suicidal thoughts because they can't see any way out of it. They've got nowhere to turn to. The good thing now is there's a lot of awareness around mental health. There's a lot of organisations and there's tools out there as well. But even within the South Asian community, I still see there's still quite a bit of stigma attached to men, especially men's mental health. We're supposed to be especially, okay, if your father's not around, you're the eldest son, that's it. You're the pillar of that family. You've got to be that strong person, take everything on board. It's marriage, it's been a father, it's been a son, a son-in-law, all of those different hats that you have to wear. And you build out that exterior, and it's almost like a false exterior because what's going on behind isn't really you, and it's slowly eating away at you.
Yeah.
Now, I also treat a lot of people who are artists and celebrity, etc. And as you know, Bobby, in that field, you could be something going on there, but you're going on TV, you're going away, and you have to mask it. But because you're masking it, all you're doing, you're suppressing it. And now something else is going to go on top of that.
I was going to add, and remember your point, because we'll come back to it. Please remember your point. I was going to add that people look at me and, they think, oh, he's got a ridiculous jacket on, he plays gigs, he's not your typical manly man. But you're totally right. I'm the oldest son. I'm that generation. Yeah. On top of that, everyone in terms of extended friends and family like, oh my God, you've been really successful on the BBC. Oh, you must love your job. Oh, I saw you on TV the other day.
Yeah.
And even I, and this is not me going me, even I have for most of my life felt like I can't turn to anyone because, sorry to say this in quotation marks, look, I'm not having a me situation, dear listener, because I'm Bobby Friction, and it's like you don't want to go and say to people you're struggling. Luckily, I've got great friends, and they've just gone, "Shut up, you're an idiot. I'll come and help you out." That male way.
Definitely.
So sorry, carry on with your point.
Yeah, and the point I was making was that a lot of people don't have that, and you're very fortunate that you have got this set of friends that you can turn to. I'm very fortunate. I've got a couple of friends like that, but a lot of people don't have any of that.
Yeah.
They just can't see any way out. And I can relate to this. When I was going through my own physical pain and everything and nothing was working, I fell into a deep depression. I fell in addiction to painkillers, everything. It's like it's in a black hole. I couldn't just get out of it. Suicidal thoughts, everything. But this was going over 20 years ago. There was no one to really talk to. And my dad, don't worry, you'll be fine. The doctor's going to sort you out, chin up. You'll be fine, But no one really understood. I was only married for 3 months, But no one really understood what I was going through. And there was nothing out there for me to really
Sorry, what did you say? You only married for 3 months. So this was happening whilst you'd gotten freshly married?
Yeah. And then, literally 3 months into my marriage. Yeah, the signs were always there with my back pain, but I ignored them.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I always say emotions of pain are our body's language. They're communicating, they're talking to us. Even negative emotions form part of us. And we need that emotion at that point in time. But when it carries on, that's when it becomes an issue in the body. And then there's generational trauma, which is carried through generations, especially with South Asian families. A lot of people still live in extended family or joint families. Get married, the dynamics change.
I grew up with a whole bunch of people who had all gone through partition.
Yes.
We talk about it now like, oh my God, isn't that the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone in South Asia? And I'm like, but that was my grandparents and my mum and dad and most of my uncles and aunties. So I'd be interested in drilling down to that another time. I do want to ask you this, because like everything you've mentioned is stuff we need to spread in terms of knowledge. I think it's really interesting. You know, you've pointed out that something we all know, which is, we talk about it now, but if you're a young man, South Asian, British man in your mid-20s, it doesn't mean you've got people to turn to.
Yes.
Things are changing and they haven't changed a lot.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, because you're now a holistic healer. So what do you do? What are your answers? I know there's therapy out there. I know someone else might turn around and say, eat this turmeric pill. All right. What do you do to fix
I always
this?
do what I practice. I always preach to people as well. Now, I know a lot of people are time poor. So what I always do, I mean, first thing I do in the morning, I get up about 5-10 minutes early. I do breath work. So breath work is the most simplest thing you can do. And there's so many tools out there which can teach us about breath work. But, you know, the longer you breathe out, it calms your nervous system down in your vagus. Everyone's heard about the vagus nerve, so it calms all of that down. And, you know, when we're in that stress situation, everyone says, no, take a step back, take a deep breath, because it will calm you down.
It's what we tell our kids. I'll give you an example. I tell my kids this because they were learning it in school. And then I realised one day when they were about 8, I've never done it myself. Like, I've done it when someone said, come to this yoga class. But, like, why am I telling my kids this when I won't even do it myself?
So you've got to practice what you preach. And because I'm a really big advocate.
And what's your vagus nerve as well? Sorry.
So the vagus nerve is what basically connects our gut to our brain. It has lots of different functions in there as well. But that is also, it's the nerve that gets stressed. So it causes a lot of issues, a lot of digestive issues as well. Meditation. Now, I know people say, oh, so I try to meditate. But, you know, my head, the trick is, initial thoughts are going to come. Let them come. Don't fight them. As you do more and more, you'll become less. But in all of this, it's consistency. There's no point, I've done it for a couple of hours a day or whatever, a week. You've got to keep it, make it part of your lifestyle. Your kids will see you doing it, and then, you know, they'll pick up on it. Good food, nourishing food, avoid stimulants, you know, no phone about an hour before, because you've got to have good quality sleep. It's not about 8 hours of sleep.
The last thing, almost impossible. I'm just going to say that because the uncles and
nothing's
aunties,
impossible.
No, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I've never known anything to be so addictive for so many people in so many different generations. You know, I look at people I know in their 80s and I'm like, you're worse than my mate who's 25 and he's an influencer.
Yeah, my dad's 87 now. The worst thing we did was get him an iPhone. He's on YouTube all the time.
That's my dad as well.
Can't get him off it, and I'm trying to explain it to him as well. But, you know, good food, good nutrition, hydration, because our brain needs hydration, and also don't bottle things up. I always say to people, okay, if you haven't got anyone to talk to, you've got yourself, right? Look in the mirror, just talk to yourself. You don't look silly. Write things down.
Interesting.
Burn it away, whatever. So you're having an outlet. You've got to let it out, because otherwise you're just a pressure cooker. You're literally saying, verbalise what you're feeling, even if you're talking to yourself. Even if you're talking to yourself. But if you're a person who can't do that, you have to write it down. Write it down. We got phones. Put it in your notes. Delete the note. You know, any negative thoughts. But have an outlet. Talk to someone. You know, I mean, you know, I'm a holistic practitioner. A lot of people come to me. We're here. There's no shame in seeking help, because that's the biggest thing you can do for yourself is look after your health. Only then can you look after the health of others in our family, our children, our parents, etc. as well. But it all starts with us. Sukh, seriously, thanks so much for coming in today. Thank you for having me on, Bobby. Thank you for having these important conversations, which we keep having, but for contextualising it. And more importantly, thank you for explaining the work you do. I think that's some just great advice. It doesn't involve going to a website. It doesn't involve spending any money. Yeah. I think that's really important. If you can't find anyone, just treat yourself as next man, to use a young phrase. Treat yourself as the next man, and then tell yourself. And hopefully you can pass on your experience to someone else, and you can help someone else as well. So that's the important part. Much appreciated, Sukh. Where can people find you on the internet? So, website, BodiSync, that's BodiSync.com. We're all on the socials, BodiSync as well, info@bodysync.com. Nice one, Sukh. Thank you. Thanks, Bobby.
The 1,000 Mile Challenge for BBC Children in Need.
We're in training as we join Radio